full traps. We need a ton of help over here.
And welcome back. The April 27, 2011 tornadoes will be forever engraved in the hearts of the people of Tuscaloosa. Today, we take a deeper look back at the time Wvua covered those deadly storms. Now, Lynn, of course, you and Richard both were here that day, and it was, of course, extremely dramatic, to say the very least. Richard, I still remember that image of that massive, huge tornado coming over the horizon of downtown Tuscaloosa with the courthouse in the foreground. What was it like for you?
Gosh, you know, when we were watching the tornado, at one point it appeared like it was lifting. You know, it didn't look as strong as it was a little bit earlier. We could see it from about 20 miles away, and I'll just never forget how large it got so fast. I mean, it went from, you know, what looked like the video you see there in the screen, you see where you can kind of see through the tornado, and then all of a sudden it got huge. I mean, massive. And I'll never forget that fear, that chill that ran down my spine watching this tornado grow, because, guys, you know, I thought this thing was going to hit us directly at the TV station. It missed us by less than 1 full mile.
And I think that we all thought that at the time. I remember seeing this on our tower camera, Richard, and it's just a really, really eerie feeling. And this image right here, over these past 6 years, a lot of our viewers will comment that this was the singular image that caused them to take shelter. I know you hear that from a lot of viewers. Yeah,
you know, when people saw Bryant-Denny Stadium and they saw the tornado that looked like it was directly behind the stadium, that's when people thought, and I hear this a lot, Lynn and Philip, that, you know, that was the point that this is real. You know, we've got this massive tornado. There it is, right by Bryant-Denny Stadium, and people use Bryant-Denny as a landmark. And when they see that, they're like, "My goodness, there it is."
Now, Lynn, you yourself were on campus that day, and you were in Reese Pfeiffer Hall, the location of where these studios used to be back in those days. And you went out on the 4th floor of Reese Pfeiffer Hall and actually shot footage yourself. What was that experience like as you faced that tornado?
Something I'll never forget, Philip. I mean, really, I had just been down in the studio just a few feet away from Richard while he was on the weather wall, and he was talking about the storm. And I knew that I would be able to be close without taking a direct hit, I thought. It was an educated, you know, an educated situation for me. I want to emphasize that because I never encourage people to go out and shoot footage of a tornado and to be reckless. So I want to make that clear that I was able to see that, the radar image and everything like that, and take an educated risk. But looking at something like that, I had the Weather Channel producer ask me, you know, what are you thinking when you look up and you see something like that out your window? And the honest truth is, it stops you in your tracks. You really don't think anything. It just kind of goes blank to that point.
And I've heard a lot of people say that were in the direct path of the tornado. They saw this massive tornado. They walked outside to look at it because, you know, as humans, what do we want to do? We want to see it. You know, it's kind of human nature. And a lot of people, even some of my neighbors in my old neighborhood that was hit by the tornado, just said they were mesmerized. They didn't know what to do. They're just in shock that it took the trees that were right in front of them to start to fall before they realized, I've got to do something.
One of the big groups that we had in the station that day, you know, we have a very large intern program. One of our interns at the time, Victoria Sheehan, was working with us. She actually came to work to find a safe place because she lived in Alberta. She actually took her cell phone with her when she saw her home the first time, so we have that footage.
And we immediately took off running, just out of pure joy that I was so lucky. But as it didn't take long to realize that it was really just an illusion.
There's someone in there.
It's bad.
In there. No, that's the bottom.
Oh my God. Wow. It went from complete happiness to, I won't say panic, but I guess a quiet panic, because if I didn't even see it, where was it? And realizing the pure shock that I didn't even realize my own home.
And Victoria Sheehan is live with us on the phone right now. How are you doing, Victoria?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
And Victoria, I remember, you know, you were a longtime intern of the television station, and it was your day off, but you decided, that was a wise decision, you decided to come on into work.
Yeah, I did, and I think about that decision a lot because, well, I mean, I just who knows what could have happened otherwise. But yeah, we had known that these storms were going to be big. And usually, you know, those times at the news station were a really good experience because it was kind of all hands on deck, and it's a great opportunity, which is what I was thinking at the time, was just, I'll get, you know, more experience and I'll be in the newsroom. And I think you guys remember the interns are pretty close, a close-knit group. So that's where most of my friends were. So I thought, okay, I'll head over there. And really, that was all it was to the decision at the time. And, you know, of course, afterward, I'm just so glad that I did.
Yeah, Victoria, that absolutely saved your life. I have no doubt about it. I remember you showing us the video like right after that happened, and I was thinking, my God, what if she was there? You know, she's just supposed to be off.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
relaxing at the house. And Victoria, you fortunately were at the TV station, which was known as a safe place. And you know, my goodness, thankfully you were not there because you're on the second floor, and from the video you saw there, Victoria, you obviously remember this clear as daylight, that there's nothing on the second floor. Literally the whole second floor is ripped off.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, completely ripped off. And I remember that when it really kind of settled in as to how much of a devastation it was on that floor was I saw my bathtub that had crashed down onto the ground from that top story. And that's where I would have been. I had made a plan the night before. I said, okay, well, I'll go into my bathroom for my safe place. So seeing that bathtub in pieces on the ground, that was like my first big moment of, well, that's where I would have been. So that's incredible. But Richard, I do want to tell you that all these years that go by, your professionalism, and really everyone that worked at the station that day really got to me, because I was watching it so from the outside. I really didn't understand fully what this storm was. Even when I saw it, you know, it was big and immense, but it was on a TV screen. And you know, Richard, you knew what it was and you knew where it was heading, and you still did your job, and that was incredible to me. And I still think about that all the time. So I just want to let all of you know at the station that it's something that I think about still to this day. So.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for saying that, because trust me, it means a lot, because that day over 250 people died in Alabama, and that just kills me on the inside, wondering what I could have done different as a broadcaster, as a meteorologist. What could I have done different that potentially helped more people survive? You know, and that's something that just gives me nightmares to this day, but thank you for that, because it means a lot to hear that, Victoria.
And Victoria,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I just want to say, well, you saved my life, because I thought about how adamant you had been talking about this storm, so thank you.
Victoria, thank you so much for joining us, and we certainly wish you all the very best in all your future endeavors. And everyone, stay tuned now. There's more news when we return.